Could it be Bill Plaschke and Plasma One, the return? Israel Gutierrez, Pablo Torre, and Jackie Mack. Hello, everybody. Today,
Greetings, Anthony.
breaking Manu Shu, tipping Yassiel's scale, melting your face when Josh Reddick does that. Not once, but twice. Two different catches. Ridiculous.
Love it.
Training.
Why the Red Sox
Around the
letting him go?
Horn. Presented by Captain Morgan White Rum, part of Happy Hour. Here's Tony Reale.
Welcome back around, and welcome back, Bill Plaschke here with tales of Olympic conquest. Can I ask Bill, best thing, worst thing from Sochi?
Best thing was this hat.
Look at that hat, yes. That'll go great in a 50-degree LA day.
Thank you.
One time.
The worst thing was we enlisted a guy. I was watching the U.S.-Russia hockey game from a bar in Sochi. We enlisted a guy to be our expert. He drank a bottle of vodka in the first period and passed out the rest of the game. didn't get anything out of him.
Well,
so,
we salute you with some Sochi water. I love the look of hair on your head. Let's go around the horn.
Sochi water.
It's the first word.
Last week, a panel that looked an awful lot like this one said no adjustment period needed for the Thunder with Westbrook. Do you want their mutes? What do we want to do? Heat, loss. Clippers, loss. Cavaliers, loss? Question mark? All at home. Bill, since you're back, we'll go right to you. Do you think this losing streak has anything to do with Westbrook returning, and how eye-raising a stretch is it?
Well, I think it absolutely has to do with Westbrook returning. Mike D'Antoni was talking to me earlier this year about Kobe Bryant when he came back to the Lakers for a few games. As great as Kobe was, Mike's saying it changes the way everybody plays. A player that great, you have to adjust to how he plays. Clearly, Westbrook's come back. Their defense hasn't adjusted to playing defense with him on the court, the way they trust you. They're averaging 18 points more allowed a game. Offensively, they're struggling more again because of ball movement and everything. This will be fine. They're going to be fine in the end. But remember, they played 27 games without him. You don't insert a player even that great into the lineup without everybody's role getting shifted. They'll be fine, but right now,
you agree?
Wait a second. So the narrative on Westbrook is that he won't let Durant be as great as he can possibly be, but now it's the defense isn't being played the same when he's out on there on the floor. I don't agree with that one bit whatsoever. Look, I think anytime you add an all-star to him, it's going to be a benefit, yes, and if there's a gap, there's a time where he wasn't playing, then of course there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment, but this doesn't have anything to do with Russell Westbrook necessarily. This has to do with, like you said, Bill, just the defense. I mean, look what they did. Yeah, Miami, but the Clippers, 52% shooting, they allowed 34 fast break points. They're just not getting back on defense. And then Cleveland, which can have some good offensive games with Kyrie Irving when he's playing well, scored 114. This is all about their defense and their inability to adjust to that. And maybe that's more on Scotty Brooks than it is on Russell Westbrook, but I don't think the dynamic between those two has anything to do with their losing streak.
On it.
My eyebrow isn't raised that high, but Russell Westbrook, through 3 games, has been a net negative for the Thunder. And yes, it's the defense. The defense has given up 2 quarters with 40 points at least. They've given up 1 quarter of 30 points. But the stats about Russell Westbrook, the defense is better by 14 points per 100 possessions when he's off the floor. That's, I think, part of the adjustment as well, is that Westbrook just isn't that good right now. And if you look at what they're doing offensively in the fourth quarter, yes, there's a second guessing about what happens when Westbrook takes a shot and Durant doesn't, but in the fourth quarter specifically, Westbrook so far has been shooting 23% from the field. On drives, he used to be the best at this in the NBA. He's now the worst among guards who drive at least 4 times a game. All of these are troubling signals about the evolution right now through 3 games of Russell Westbrook.
And now Jackie Mack.
But see, everything you said, Pablo, is true, but the last part you said is the most significant part, which is the troubling evolution through 3 games. 3 games is a very, 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 very small sample for an all-star player that's going to be okay once he gets acclimated. You are right, though. The most important number, I think, and you nailed it, was the 121 points per 100 possessions with Westbrook on the floor, 106.1 points per possession with him off the floor. There's some small evidence that there is a defensive issue when he is on the floor, and that's rotation and getting comfortable. And I will throw this out. We all laugh at Kendrick Perkins. I understand why. But you know what? He does bring some defensive toughness. If someone's penetrating the lane, he is the guy that will knock somebody down and make them think twice about doing it.
Plaschke back in.
Yeah, Pablo, I don't want to pile on, but 3 games does not an evolution make. Jackie's exactly right. I think Russell tries. He's the kind of guy, he's trying too hard. He's trying too hard to get his mojo back. He needs to back off, back it down a little bit of a notch.
No, and look, I think it's also the fact that they're playing teams that have really good point guards. Kyrie Irving has been incinerating people. Chris Paul is like a 48-3 assist-to-turnover ratio. He's just not up to speed yet. I think he will be, but again, 3 games is something.
Couple things, though. If a guy is coming off a knee injury and you know he's going to struggle defensively, you've got to find ways to hide him defensively. The other thing is, with Russell out there, if they're running more, of course the pace is going to be higher, so maybe the other team is also going to score more, so therefore they just need to kind of get back.
So again, it sounds like you're putting this on Scott Brooks. If you're saying
more than Westbrook, yeah, absolutely.
Last word, Jackie Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. What you said about Westbrook getting adjusted, and maybe you hide him a little bit. But again, remember, the guy, Reggie Jackson, that played for Westbrook, now he has to adjust in his new role as well. So it affects him. It trickles on down.
Okay, we've been horned. We'll move on. Eagles paying Riley Cooper $25 million over the next 5 years. That seemed impossible 8 months ago when video of him saying the N-word was spanning the internet. Seemed kind of worthy when the team brought him back, and he had 8 touchdowns in 300-yard games. So what do you think of this new deal with Cooper, Jackie McMullen?
You know what? To me, it's business as usual in the NFL. He made a horrible mistake, one that I think whenever you ask somebody about Riley Cooper, it's going to stay with him a very long time, and I think it should, by the way. But he does deserve a second chance, and he certainly put up the numbers. Career year in receptions, touchdowns, and total yards, 835 yards. Here's the thing. Okay, Ray Rice, there is a video on TMZ of Ray Rice allegedly, I guess we have to say, but I'm not even sure it's allegedly, dragging his unconscious fiancée off an elevator. With that in mind, his coach asked, would it affect his place on the roster? His coach, John Harbaugh, said it wouldn't, quote, even remotely change the fact that he be on the roster. So it seems to me, if you can play and you can put up numbers, the NFL is always going to forgive you.
Pablo Torre?
I mean, to some degree, the question of how much of a problem his contract is empirical. If his teammates and bosses really like him, if the fans have forgiven him, if all of these things he's done to have a second act for himself are positive, I give him credit for that. However, the standard that I wish had been applied at the time and maybe should be applied now is that if you do something in the NFL that will get you fired in any normal workplace, if you said a vicious racial slur and challenged an entire building full of people of that race to a fight while you're drunk, that would have gotten anybody out there watching and all of us fired. And that's a standard that I think the NFL only strays away from because there's profit to be made, whether it's a guy being good on the roster or otherwise, and that's the most troubling principle.
So then if you were looking
equation.
for a message here, and it's hard to even, but if you're looking for a message in this contract, what would the message be then, Pablo?
Well, I think you might want to reconsider. I mean, look, I think once you keep him on the roster, it's hard to go back. The precedent has already been set. What I would do is not give him the opportunity to stay on that team in the first place, to be perfectly honest with you.
Gutierrez.
You know, while I do agree with your premise there, Pablo, here's the problem I have with it. Let's just say regular person gets fired from his job. Are we dismissing that person and assuming he's a lost cause, or do we want to help that person grow and learn from his mistake? And in this case, with Riley Cooper, now, I'm not Sal Palantonio. I don't know the Eagles inside and out, but, you know, it seems like his teammates, his coaches, and everybody else has sort of accepted him, and maybe he's learned from his mistake. And I think that's the whole idea of this particular incident and this particular, just the N-word and everything else that's going around. If you learn from it, if you talk about the sensitivity of it and you recognize the history of it, then you benefit from it as a human being. And I think maybe Riley Cooper did that.
So then you would say the overall message is some positive note here of forgiveness or acceptance on some level.
That's the way I would see it, unless somebody in Philadelphia tells me otherwise.
Plashke, how about you?
Izzy, no, I think you're being way too rainbows on this and way too sunny. The bottom line is it's Nick Foles. Nick Foles likes the guy. Nick Foles threw 7 touchdown passes to the guy. Nick Foles shows up. He loves Riley Cooper. Riley Cooper's on the team because Foles is a quarterback for the future. I don't see a lot of forgiveness or a lot of redemption going on here. The guy can play. The guy set career highs. They like him. The quarterback loves him. Believe me, if the quarterback didn't like him, he'd be gone tomorrow. But the quarterback likes him. He's one of his targets. They like the quarterback. That's all it is. It's that simple. It's a business. It's all about a business. He works for the business. They're overlooking everything else. And if anybody else didn't like it, they can go. That's the way it is.
I agree with the business idea of it, but there are other people in that locker room other than Nick Foles. And if there were a large group of African-American players in that locker room who thought that Riley Cooper was a racist and couldn't play with him, I think they would think differently.
Sure.
And I will agree, it's more than just Riley Cooper. The principle I talked about applies to a lot of people, whether it's drunk driving, whether it's all of these other offenses, Ray Rice included. It's not just about Riley Cooper.
Plashke, 18. Gutierrez, 13. Torrey, 7. McMullen, 10. We've been home. We're going to take a break. Buy or sells next. Coming up, a growing problem, a going problem, and a creeping problem. The NFL teams. The questions they ask.
They creeping.
Around the Horn is presented by the new Captain Morgan White Rum. Raise your glass. Always in moderation. Part of Happy Hour.
D'Antoni said. He's still reading the paper. Said it's a product of everyone on one-year contracts. Whose side are you on here, Plashke?
You're going to hate hearing this, but I'm kind of on both their sides, Tony. Pal's won 2 NBA titles. He's frustrated. He's got a right to say something. He's the leader of that team. Nobody else in that team is saying anything or can say anything. And D'Antoni is fighting for his job and his career out there. He needs to say something. Okay. They both have to. It's just a mess.
Bill, you've been away for a long time, but you should know that if you're on both sides by yourself, you're getting a mute. Go ahead, Israel.
I am strongly on Mike D'Antoni's side on this one. I mean, first of all, don't you remember when they cleared the air before? I guarantee you part of that conversation was, hey, let's keep this stuff in-house instead of going out with it. And the other part about it is Mike D'Antoni could say a lot of things, like, for example, why was he out with a groin injury coincidentally until the day after the trade deadline was over? I'm pretty sure he was trying to manipulate the trade into not happening. He's still there. He wants D'Antoni out.
You think that, or you think D'Antoni was thinking that, or could have thought that? You think that Pal was actually trying to manipulate a trade on his own?
Come on, Tony. Not manipulate a trade. Manipulate the whole process and stay put.
Come on, Israel. Let's go, Pablo.
Look, I think that I'm on Team Pau because as much manipulation as has been alleged in the last 30 seconds, Pau has been manipulated more than anybody. This guy has been jerked around by the Lakers for years and years. Good for him for fighting back, and good for him for caring about the season. No one else does.
You know what? I don't really want to be on either team of these guys, but I've got to lean towards D'Antoni, and here's why. After all the dust settled and he was talking about all the complaints Gasol had, he said, you know, everybody complains about the offense. I wish he'd complain about the defense, which is the real problem on our team. I think D'Antoni hit on the right thing. Gasol should have been gone. They should have traded him. But his frustration, it can't be excused. It really
We'll move on then. MLB.com headline. And the wild horse be tame. Mentioning the 20-plus pounds Yasiel Puig has gained since last year. 2 days he took off for fouling a ball off a foot. Possibility of a sophomore slump. Don Mattingly in the piece quoted, anything with Yasiel is a big deal. We understand that. You guys have had the last word and paint the picture. Last year the media turned on him almost overnight, and I thought he got painted wrong and was misunderstood. End quote. Should the Dodgers be worried about a Puig sophomore slump, Israel?
Well, before we paint him wrong, all we really need to do is sort of monitor the situation, or Mattingly and company should monitor the situation. We have no idea how he's going to respond to the fame and the success and everything else. So if he responds poorly, you address him on it. If it's not, then, you know, you just kind of keep going.
I don't think we need a Puig whisperer just yet, which is what the headline seems to imply. Yasiel Puig showed up somewhere between 20 and 26 pounds. There's a month left before the first day of the regular season. He has plenty of time to lose 10 to 15 pounds. We don't know if that's bad weight. He's not Jesus Montero, who was completely out of shape. Give him time to get back into shape.
Jackie, you're shaking your head no.
Pablo, you're supposed to show up to spring training in shape. You're not supposed to use spring training to round yourself into shape and lose 26 pounds. Now, I don't know if that's good weight or bad weight. That's what we have to wait and see. But you hear that he's the last guy to show up every day. If you're Puig, why not build on this incredible rookie season and be the first guy to show up and to be the guy that shows up in shape and to be the guy that's going to lead this team to the World Series?
Flashkey.
What I'm going to say is agreed upon by everybody in the Dodger organization. Yasiel Puig is a potentially great player, but also a time bomb. He tick, tick, tick every day. They are worried about him, about the weight, about off-the-field stuff. They don't know what to do about it. They bench him. He comes on, hits a home run 6 innings later. You know, he gets caught for speeding. They get him to apologize. Is he going to be okay? They don't know what their hands are tied.
You say you're speaking for the Dodgers here because you have sources, I'm sure.
They all
but Mattingly just said the media painted him in the wrong way last year, or at least jumped off him too quickly.
Well, Donnie's protecting the player as he should do, but no, we painted him exactly as they have painted him, and that's a guy with tremendous upside and also tremendous penchant for potential disaster.
Buy or sell 3 NFL teams at the Combine asking Blake Bortles about his girlfriend. Quote, if we come to town, will your girlfriend be there for dinner? End quote. Bortles told Dan Patrick he was asked that. Buy or sell those types of questions, Pablo?
I mean, you obviously have to sell it. Who are these guys asking these questions? Clearly, they're at the very least out of touch with the people they're asking these questions of because they don't think it's that funny because they go on to tell everybody about it. What it seems like is a lot of pervy older guys asking questions about a guy's girlfriend. That does not play in any setting.
Pervy older guys. Wow. I agree with Pablo. I think it's an inappropriate question. I'm not outraged by it. But let me ask you this. Let's say Michael Sam is sitting there and they say, hey, Michael, if you come to town, am I going to get to meet your boyfriend? Is that appropriate? I think not.
Flashkey.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe these guys, I agree, it sounds very creepy, very weird. Maybe they're testing him. Maybe they're testing if talk about his girlfriend gets under his skin, as he will certainly be hearing that talk once training camp starts because his girlfriend's high profile. Maybe they're jabbing him a little bit to see how he reacts. I don't know.
Israel.
Yeah, if they asked him if he had a girlfriend, then they're uninformed and breaking the rules of the NFL. And also, but if they just asked her if she's going to be around, if it's sort of casual and, you know, trying to be funny about it, I think that's a little inappropriate in a job interview setting.
Pablo Torre, you showed up to spring training today a little bit overweight. That was the question some people have. What's the last word now?
I have criticism, but I'm going to keep it in-house.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Bill, Israel, Jackie, lightning rounds next. And later, we've got those ridiculous catches. I mean, just insane. Look at that. And the exploding shoe of Manu Ginobili. Horde!
White rum. Raise your glass. Always in moderation. Part of happy hour.
Bill Plaschke. Oh, it's been so long. 22 points in the lead. Gutierrez 18, McMullen 16. It's the lightning round. Paul Pierce says when we lose like this, it's a complete lack of focus. Like this, a 44-point loss to Portland. KG wants people held accountable. What do you think of their criticism, Bill?
Well, it's nice. They could blow off some steam, but let's face it, they're 3 games under 500. They got beat by a team that's 22 games over 500. Okay. The Nets just aren't that good.
Gutierrez?
You're not supposed to temper your frustration based on your record or your expectations. I mean, they lost by 44 points. They should be upset. And by the way, Portland's 6-5 in their last 11. Without LaMarcus Aldridge, it's not like they're setting the world on fire right now.
You know what? I love the passion for Pierce and Garnett, but they're toast. They're 21st in defensive efficiency. I can't believe how bad their spacing is, and this is more than halfway through the season. When he says lack of focus, that says to me, why isn't the coach getting
You said they're toast. Are you speaking about the Nets team this season, or are you speaking about KG and Pierce as well?
No, the team. The Nets are toast.
She loves KG and Pierce.
Plaschke, anything you'd like to tell Jackie right now?
No, I'm just saying she loves KG and Pierce. She'll never rip them.
When does the wheelchair joke come? I'm waiting for it. Waiting.
The two of you. We'll move on. Andrew Luck told Pro Football Talk he loves his ex-college teammate Jonathan Martin. Still talks to him. And when a reporter asked if he'd 100% want the Colts to acquire Martin, quote, yes, end quote. What do you think of that, Israel?
I think it's great. You know what? If the Dolphins would have had somebody with Luck's, leadership and somebody this bold in their locker room, maybe this whole mess never would have happened. So I like that he's supporting him, sure.
McMullen.
Yeah, and he's the franchise. He's what Indy's everything about. If he wants him in there, if I'm the Colts, I'm going to give him a chance to come in here and know that Luck will make sure that Jonathan Martin will succeed because he'll have his back every step of the way.
I think it's great that Luck said this. It sends a message to the rest of the league. This guy deserves, needs a job. I'm just not so sure it should be with Indy because Luck's got his own issues as a quarterback. He doesn't need to be put in a position of being a protector or a caretaker of this guy. It'll be a huge, for Luck personally, it'll be a huge
You don't think he can handle that? Every
question about Jonathan Martin will come right to Luck.
The other thing is that the Colts have become Stanford Midwest, right? I mean, they've had half the rosters the Stanford Cardinal. Plaschke 24. Gutierrez 22. We won't get Plaschke versus McMullen in Showdown. Looked like they started to try that earlier. Mac, what's the last word?
Bill, I'm glad you're home, and you did look like the security guards at the Emerald City in The Wizard of Oz, but I'm glad you're here. And then, if I may, a quick recover to the one and only Margarita McMullen. Get well, Mom. Come on.
Absolutely, Jackie Mack. In our thoughts. All right, Plaschke, Gutierrez. That's our Showdown. 2 enter, only 1 will leave. And straight ahead, whether Josh Reddick needs to save some of these catches for the regular season, or at least the second game of Cactus League, and whether Manu's Nike Airs are providing too much air. Ford! And then there were 2. Bill Plaschke, Israel Gutierrez. 2 quick showdowns and then 30 seconds of FaceTime to the winner. Good luck to you both. Showdown 1, Manu's foot mushrooming out of his sneaker last night. Too much air, too much force for the Nike to handle. What do you think of the shoe malfunction, Plaschke?
I think that shoe must be called air fail. And the guy who did it, he has to have some explaining to do because these are 2 older players against each other. It wasn't like he was actually faked out of his shoe. That's ridiculous. I mean, somebody absolutely screwed that up. Reminds me of my shoes. Just get some duct tape.
You got to be careful there, Bill. Do not make fun of the shoe. I learned that because early in his career, Dwayne Wade's shoe kind of crumbled on him one time. I wrote a little note in a little newspaper notebook that kind of mocked the shoe. He wasn't very happy about it. It was his signature shoe. It wouldn't help.
I don't want to make Dwayne Wade mad.
Painful for you.
Don't want to make Dwayne Wade mad.
Showdown 2. These insane catches in baseball. Look at Carlos Moncrief into the kitchen. That's the warning track. You see that? That's the warning track. And then there's the picture of the kitchen. Incredible. And also Josh Reddick's 2 face-exploding, life-affirming home run robbing catches of Michael Morse. But this is the first week of spring training. Too soon for catches like that, Israel?
No such thing as too soon. No such thing. First of all, great ad placement. Very fortunate by Patio Furniture over there. But also, if Reddick still had the beard, it's unfortunate. If he still had the beard, I can picture the headline right now. The 2 catches, Wolf of Wall, comma, sweet.
And that was a tremendous catch, and it was fun to watch. And I think every Major League team should look at the wall and say, we need a wall like that. We need walls that guys can climb up and make those kind of catches, because that wouldn't have been possible in a lot of Major League ballparks. Very fun.
Wolf of Wall Street gets you a point. But the new face of MLB, this is what we're looking for, right? What we're looking for, it should be Reddick's catch. It should be Moncrief's catch. That's what should be the logo for the entire rest of spring training, at least, if not the season. Plashke, you're getting the FaceTime. You traveled so long to get back, so you earned this. Go ahead.
I am so excited about Sunday's Oscar telecast. The movie Nebraska. Everyone should watch for Nebraska, because this show, Around the Horn, has a chance to win Best Supporting Show, a little-known award for Nebraska. The movie itself nominated for 6 major Academy Awards. If you watch the movie, and I'm not spoiling anything here, they're actually movies about an older man and his son going to Nebraska. On their drive to Nebraska, they stop in Montana, and they stop during the afternoon. They go into a bar. Guess what's showing in the movie behind the bar? Around the Horn. Around the Horn is in the movie Nebraska. Tony's in there. Take Kalishaw. It's a showdown between Kalishaw and Woody Page. We're in the movie. We deserve the Oscar. Those guys.
All right. Settle down. We don't deserve the Oscar.
We deserve the Oscar.
We can get an Oscar.
Put the hat back on, Flash. We want to see you out with that. That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for coming around. We're on a 23.5-hour break. Lance Stevenson, I got your stacks right here. We'll see you tomorrow around the horn.